is up? Welcome back to the Inside the Diamonds podcast. And I am your host, Chris, CJ, or whatever you want to call me. You're stuck with me for the next 30 to 45 minutes. As you can tell, I'm solo tonight. And as you can tell if you're watching this on YouTube, I got a little cooked this weekend for Father's Day. Um, Watched a lot of baseball this weekend, followed a lot of baseball. And so I'm here to break it all down. We're recording a night later than normal because of the Celtics championship last night. So I went and watched that and bumped it to tonight. And CJ is on vacation. Hope he's having a good time. Hope he's having some fun. So let's get right into things. Let's get right into everything because it's been a chaotic week. And if you're in the New England area, actually, I don't know if it's happened throughout the whole country, but we're right now experiencing a heat wave. It's hot. And so with that, I'm going to start with the hottest teams of the week. And this might be a segment that I do when I'm by myself. Because I think just talk about the hot teams of the week and maybe I'm not cursed anymore. I don't know. We'll see. So the first hottest team of the week I want to talk about is the New York Mets. And how do you not? Over their last 10 games, 8-2, 10-4 in all of June. A team that we all counted out. And if you're a baseball fan, you counted them out too. And they got hot. This might be their month. Since they had a mascot come throw out the first pitch the other night and took pictures with their mascot, and that was Grimace from McDonald's. And since he was there and threw out the first pitch, they've won 6 straight. You might see him start showing up for other teams if they're going to keep winning games. But some numbers I crunched today and want to look them over. Their lineup is hot. JD Martinez, 14 games. This guy just hits the ball. He's got a 315 average with a 1.015 OPS, 3 home runs, 8 runs scored, and 13 RBIs. There might not be a hotter hitter on the planet other than Aaron Judge, who left tonight's game if you're watching the Yankees-Orioles game. But wow, what a month for him so far. Francisco Lindor's another one, 14 games, 296, 937 OPS, 3 home runs as well, 13 runs scored, and 7 RBIs. Their lineup is just clicking on all cylinders. Like it's literally Brandon Nimmo's next, 13 games, 333 average, 860 OPS, 1 home run, 10 runs scored, 10 RBIs. They can't be stopped. And the name that everybody knows from that team is Pete Alonso, the polar bear. 14 games, a 259 average with an 831 OPS, 3 home runs, 9 runs scored, and 12 RBIs. This guy's hot too. Now you talk about from the first name to the last name I mentioned, JD Martinez and Pete Alonso. Those are 2 names that are talked about for the deadline. And the deadline's, August? Stay hot, and you're moved. JD's more likely than Pete Alonso, but I'll get some more about Pete Alonso a little bit later on. On the mound, their best pitcher has been Luis Severino. And what a bounce back year. This month, 2 starts, 1-0, 1.29 ERA, 1.21 whip. This season, he's 4-2 in 13 starts with a 3.12 ERA, a 1.17 whip, 60 strikeouts, and 70 innings pitched. This guy just found himself, and all he did was move across town. Was the Yankees pitcher for the longest time, and then all of a sudden goes to New York and figures it out. He might be an arm that gets moved. This week, because we're recording a day later, so we're not doing typical Monday recording, he's got Texas for 2 to finish out the week. He's got 3 against the Cubs. And most likely because he's pitching, I forget actually when he pitches. Could he pitch in the Cubs series? Facing the Rangers is tough, but the Cubs can't hit right now, and I'll get to them a little bit later on. The next team, and this is, I can't believe I'm saying this, we're going to stick with the NL East. The Washington Nationals. They're 8-2 in their last 10, just like the Mets. So the Mets win, Nationals win. They just keep pace. The Nationals took 3 of 4 from the Braves, 2 of 3 from the Tigers, and they swept Miami. You beat the teams you have to beat. And you beat the teams that you got to find sneak wins out against the good teams. And that's what they did against Atlanta. And theirs is pitching. I got a couple of bats that have been hot. Lane Thomas, 10 games, 351 average, 1.152 OPS, 4 home runs, 10 runs scored, and 18 RBIs. CJ Abrams, one of my favorite players on that team, 10 games, 351 average, 1.050 OPS, 2 home runs, 8 runs scored, 10 RBIs. But then you turn to the pitching. And this is where things get interesting with this team. You take out Patrick Corbin, who's struggled this year. I mean, you don't take him out, but I mean, he's struggled. He hasn't looked good. Starting with Mackenzie Gore, 2 starts since June 6th to 17th. Their current stretch, 2-0, 150 ERA, 1.08 WHIP, 12.8 K per nine. Mitchell Parker, 2 starts, 2-0, 1.53 ERA with a 0.91 WHIP. Jake Irvin, 2 games started, 2-0, 0.75 ERA, 1.08 WHIP. Combining all their starters, 6-0, 57 and a third innings pitched, an 8.6 K per nine, a 1.41 ERA, and a 0.98 WHIP. This week, they got a chance to keep getting better. They got 3 against the Diamondbacks. That series starts tonight. And this weekend, they got 3 against the Rockies. There's no reason why you can't come out of that this week, 3-3, 4-2. Maybe now that I mention them, they come out of the week, 2-4, 1-5. I don't know. But there's no reason. The way you're playing ball, you're in the hunt. Whether they a game back of the wild card, that whole wild card is a cluster. So they're right there. We'll stick with the National League. We'll go to the Central now. And a team that I mentioned that may have broken the curse was the St. Louis Cardinals. In their last 10 games, they're 7-3. They're back in a playoff spot. And not just back in a playoff spot. Granted, it is by a half game, or maybe a game, but they're holding the 5th seed in the wild card in the National League, the 2nd overall wild card spot. They split with Colorado. They took 2 of 3 from the Pirates, who I mentioned was going to be right there with them. They took 2 or 3 from the Cubs, and they had 1 against the Marlins, but, it is what it is. You're not going to win every game. They got this young kid, though, Ivan Herrera. 7 games. This guy's mashing the ball. 409 average, a 980 OPS. He's got 5 runs scored and 3 RBIs. I mean, he's not mashing. He's not hitting home runs, but he's getting on base. He's scoring runs. He's helping the team out. Like this, the average is just, this guy's hitting the ball. The other one is Brendan Donovan. He's 10 games, 316 average, 771 OPS, 1 home run, 4 runs scored, 4 RBIs. This team is hitting the ball. You turn the mound, they're pitching. Miles Michaelis, 2 games started, 1-0, a 0.68 ERA in those 2 starts, 0.45 WHIP, and a 7.43 K per nine. That's where you start. And then the big offseason acquisition for them was Sonny Gray. He's got 2 starts. He's 1-0 with a 1.84 ERA, a 0.82 WHIP, a 7.98 K per nine. This team's pitching. They're not just doing it with the bats. And again, I didn't mention Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt. This team's doing their thing. This is the Cardinals team that everybody knows. So if they can keep it up, great, because the Cardinals in the playoffs is fun. I hope they do. I hope they sneak in, because the Giants, I like them. They're not that fun to watch lately. There's other teams in the NL Central I like. The Brewers probably are going to run away with the division, but there's Reds, Pirates, Cardinals, and the Cardinals are fun to watch right now. The next team I'll move to, the next 2 I have for the hottest teams of the week, are both in the American League East. We're going to start with the team that's trying to come back, and they got a series right now that's one of my most watched series for the week. The Baltimore Orioles. They're 8-2 in their last 10. 11-5 in June. They took, in the last 10 games, they took 2 or 3 from Atlanta, or not the last 10 games, but their most recently. They took 2 or 3 from the Braves, who I said was a potential World Series matchup. Or that was my prediction. But then my new one that I said last week's podcast, 2 or 3 from the Phillies. This team's just taking care of the teams they have to beat. And that's behind Gunnar Henderson, 9 games, 325 average, a 997 OPS, 3 home runs, 9 runs scored, 7 RBIs. Listen, I like Bobby Witt. Excuse me. I'm a big Bobby Witt guy. As much as I don't like the Royals, I like watching Bobby Witt. Gunnar Henderson's the real deal. And he should be the starting shortstop for the American League at the All-Star game. He's just hitting. He's just producing. That's all he does. The other name in that lineup that's really gotten hot is Anthony Santander. He's got a 289 average with a 1.060 OPS, 5 home runs, 7 runs scored, 8 RBIs. Guy that, when I wrote an Orioles article about trading prospects because the outfield was crowded, he was the name that everybody mentioned. Trade him. I would love to. I'm curious if you're an Orioles fan, you traded him? You want him gone? He's stroking the ball right now. And you got a series against, team leading the American League East right now, and you want him gone? I don't know what he's done tonight, but is that the guy you want gone? They got so many outfields coming, so there's a lot of question marks in the outfield there. We talk about Colton Cowser, Heston Kjerstad. There's Enrique Bradfield. I've mentioned Judd Fabian. There's outfielders coming. I'm sure I probably forgot a couple. What do you do? Why not trade the guys that haven't produced in the big leagues yet, like Bradfield? I like Fabian a lot. I think I've liked Fabian since he was at Florida for college. Bradfield I also like too for Vanderbilt. He's got speed. He could be a guy who plays in the 9-hole, has speed, gets on base, and you flip the lineup over. And there's a guy that I'll talk about in a little bit that does the same thing. On the mound, between Corbin Burns, Cole Irvin, Grayson Rodriguez, Kyle Bradish, since the stretch of June 7th to June 17th, they're 7-1. 59 of the third innings pitched. A 9.4 K per 9. A 1.97 ERA and a 1.03 whip. Now listen, when they got Corbin Burns, we all knew they got an ace. But Grayson Rodriguez needed a bounce back season. And he's doing it. He's had his injuries. Kyle Bradish just got hurt the other day. He's out. Cole Irvin. Again, this goes back to they need a pitcher. They need a starting arm. But what they're putting up right now, this team is going to be lethal come October. And they'll be must watch. This week, though, is their real test because they have the Yankees for 3. And I can't tell because they're in the little box of MLB big inning, but it looks like it's 4-0 Yankees right now. So that might be a loss tonight, but I'll get to tomorrow's game for them a little bit later on. But they got 3 against the Astros this weekend, who are slowly figuring things out. They lost Justin Verlander, so that's a series they should take. They're going to be in that hunt right with the Yankees the whole season. And they could be a wildcard team. They could very well be playing the first week of playoffs when nobody had them doing that. But they'll find a way. I expect them at the very least, to be in the ALCS, unless they get the Yankees and the ALDS. But that we'll have to see how things shake out there. The final team that was hot this week. Since I'm in New England, since it's hot, we got a heat wave. Let's talk about the Boston Red Sox. They've won 6 of their last 8. And now we talked about it last week about how they had a tough stretch. Very tough stretch. And they split a series with the Chicago White Sox. How do they answer that series? They took 2 or 3 from the Phillies, the best record in the National League. How do they answer that the weekend? Well, they took 2 or 3 from the Yankees with the best record in the American League. 6-2 in the last 8. Taking care of business. And it's not Rafael Devers. Tyler O'Neill did his thing, but they're missing guys. They're missing key bats that are lined up. Tristan Casas isn't there, and if you watch Sunday Night Baseball, what a great interview that was. And some people may not have liked it, but what a great interview that was. But we're going to start from the top. Leadoff hitter hasn't missed a game this season. And I wrote an article today that he's becoming a star. And this guy needs to be at the All-Star game in Texas. Has to be. And the fact that he's not even in the top 20, excuse me, I went through that list the other day. And if you haven't done it, MLB released their rankings for the All-Star game and the voting and all that stuff. Go through it if you get a chance, because I went through it, and this guy should be in the top at least 15. Maybe you're not voting him there, but he should be in at least the top 15. Jarren Duran, 8 games, a 382 average, a 1.021 OPS. He's got 10 home runs, 4 RBIs. This guy's in the top 5 in doubles, top 10 in doubles, top 10 in leads the league in triples. This guy gets on base, and the thing I wrote about that I love watching about him is he can draw a walk and he'll get on base. He turns that walk into a triple. Like, he could be on third base in the blink of an eye. He changes a game. He's a game changer. Get this guy to the All-Star game. And I wrote, actually, I think about a month ago, You have the conversation. Do the Red Sox trade Willie Abreu or Jarren Duran? I, I love Willie Abreu. I like him a lot, but I'm not trading Willie Abreu. I'm keeping Jarren Duran. The next one I'll go to is Connor Wong. 7 games. He's got a 333 average, 865 OPS, 2 runs scored, and 4 RBIs. This guy's fun to watch. And we talk about Kyle Teel as the next coming for catcher. Like the bat's gonna be fantastic. But Connor Wong and Kyle Teel platooning behind the plate, I love that. And I like Reese McGuire, I do. But behind the plate, Red Sox got some questions. Another bat, Tyler O'Neill. He had a knee injury, came back. He's been figuring it out. In this current stretch, 5 games played, a 318 average, a 1133 OPS, 3 home runs, 5 runs scored, 7 RBIs. Now, granted, he hit 2 home runs last night, so 2 of those 3 home runs were last night. But he's finding his stroke, and if he stays healthy, again, this goes back to they got a problem in the outfield. Their prospects coming, and that's the future, but they're the logjam right now. You got to get his bat in the lineup. Willie's going to be back soon. He's starting a rehab assignment tonight. You got to figure that out. The final one is besides Duran, my other favorite Red Sox player to watch right now, Ceddanne Rafaela. And he was in my top 100 to start the season. 8 games played this season, a 448 average, a 1.105 OPS. He has a home run, which he hit last night, 7 runs scored, and 3 RBIs. Now, he leads the Red Sox in RBIs. He leads all rookies in RBIs. This guy's not getting the recognition he deserves. And he plays center field and shortstop. So the 2 key positions you need. And he's covering both of them. Which will go to the trade deadline. If the Red Sox are buyers, it opens the door for them to either acquire a shortstop or a center fielder or an outfielder. And allows the opportunity where you can put Rafael wherever. It doesn't handicap them to say, I need a shortstop. You can get a center fielder and Rafael goes to short. Yes, I've seen articles where they need a shortstop, and that's what they keep saying. But you have one too if you need one. So it doesn't handicap you and close the door on possibilities. And finally, the other person I want to talk about who left last night's game. Thankfully, it's not serious. He's probably gonna miss. He's gonna miss tonight's game. Should be back tomorrow. If not, probably over the weekend against the Reds. That is David Hamilton, and this guy was I shut on him. He couldn't feel the ground ball. He couldn't catch a ball. Couldn't hit the ball. In this stretch, 8 games played, a 310 average, a 919 OPS, 2 home runs, 8 runs scored, and 5 RBIs. I mean, that's a key bat. The way he's hitting the ball, the way he's been, you need him in the lineup. He's a key piece. And you really don't need a shortstop at that point if he's hitting like this. Now, granted, they're still trailing in the wild card. They're losing right now. This week coming up, they got 2 more against the Jays tonight and tomorrow. They got 3 against the Reds this weekend. You come out this weekend 4-2. I'll take 3-3, but the Twins, you got chasing Twins. You got to figure out a way to keep up with them. I'd rather 4-2. 5-1 would be fantastic. Right now they're down 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th. They just missed a key opportunity. So I don't know how I feel about tonight's game anymore. They got Bayo tomorrow. I don't know how I feel about Bayo. He has been hit or miss lately. He's got a 5+ ERA. It might be 5 exactly. I'm not key on it right now, but this team is fun to watch. And if you watch Sunday Night Baseball, because it was prime time. So if you like baseball and you listen to this, it was prime time. They broke the franchise record. They had 9 stolen bases against the Yankees. Now, that was how Score's game plan, steal the base. They knew Jose Trevino couldn't throw. They faced the Yankees again the weekend of the 4th of July. If Trevino's behind the plate, are they stealing again? Could they break that record? Making Red Sox Yankees must watch again. And I said last week, everything I said about Verdugo. He hits a home run his first at bat, and he runs around the bases saying, "This is my house." How's he not get drove? That brings back the Red Sox Yankees rivalry. He said the words to fuel it. His antics fueled it. Should have brought it back. But overall, that whole weekend series was fantastic to watch. I had a great time watching it. That was great baseball. It's great to see the Red Sox play that kind of baseball. So when they play again the weekend of the 4th, I hope you tune in. Now, before we switch over to the coldest teams of the week, which I wish I was cold, we're going to talk about joining us. So, as you can tell, I'm by myself the last couple weeks. So if you're looking to come talk some baseball, we got a spot for you. JC will be back, but we got extra room for you. I got the screen right in front of me. We got a room for a third box. So you want to come talk baseball? We got that for you. You want to come bring a podcast here and do your podcast under our network? Love that. You want to come right here? Come do that. We got everything for everybody. So if you get questions, again, my email is clavalley@insidethediamonds.com. The last name is Lavalllee @insidethediamonds.com. You can reach out to me, shoot me an email. We can have a conversation on email. And if it doesn't work out for you, then fine. That's fine. But hey, take a chance. So we're going to move on to the down bad this week, or the coldest teams, because I wish I was cold. The first one's the Chicago Cubs, and this is JC's territory because this is his team besides the Red Sox. Their last 10 games, they're 3-7. They took 1 of 4 from the Reds. They dropped 2 or 3 to the Rays. They dropped 2 or 3 to the Cardinals, a team that they're chasing now. And right now, this week, they're only 1 against the Giants. Their offense in this stretch from June 7th to June 18th, they have a .228 batting average, a .644 OPS. They're averaging 2.9 runs a game. They got a 7.6 K per 9, or 76.6 K per game, and they're giving up 3-point runs per game. They got to figure out that offense. And there was talks of, them being in on Vlad Guerrero Jr. from the Jays, which we'll get to that later. I have a little conversation for that. There's a lot. There is a lot. So I don't know what to do with I hate seeing that. Like, they're a good team. They're fun to watch. They're just struggling right now. Their offense in this stretch is hitting .228 with a .640. Oh, sorry, I just read that. This week, they got 2 games against the Giants, 3 against the Mets. Tough stretch for them. Like I said, the Mets are one of the hottest teams, so we'll see what happens. The next team I want to talk about that's down bad, the Detroit Tigers. Same as the Cubs. 3 of their last 10. They dropped 2 of 3 of the Brewers, 2 of 3 of the Nationals, 2 of 3 of the Astros, and now they're dropped the opener to the Braves. They're playing tonight. I have a buddy who's a Braves fan. He reached out to me and said it should be a good series. I said it should be. Reese Olson pitched great last night, but the bullpen just couldn't do it. They drop it 2-1. I literally said to him, Wednesday's the game. That you have to win that game. But then I remember the pitching matchup was Terry Skubal versus Reynaldo Lopez. And I don't know how I feel about that. I trust Skubal more than anything, and honestly, going to that, aside from Skubal, they're in trouble. Skubal's got 14 games. He's 8-2, 2.20 ERA, a 0.90 WHIP, 98 strikeouts, and 86 innings pitched. After that, they got to figure it out. The lineup's got to figure it out. Riley Green, if you go to the All-Star voting, there isn't a single Tiger in the top of any voting. And this is a team that I had winning the division, and multiple people had winning the division. Right now, I'm going Royals. I think the Royals are the best team in that division. And the Guardians look good, but I think there's something coming there. They don't have the pitching to keep up all year. Twins are good, but I think they fall off too. I think injuries just plague the Twins. That's their thing. The other name in the rotation that I do want to talk about is Jack Flaherty. Is Jack Flaherty back? He's got 13 starts this year. And again, I don't go by record because the record, in Skubal's case, I do because, he puts you in a 2-0 game, whatever. But Flaherty is 4-4. He's got a 3.01 ERA. He's got 100 strikeouts, which is 5th in baseball to this point. 0.95 WHIP. His numbers are similar to 2019, which in 2019, he finished 4th in the National League Cy Young voting. Watching Flaherty do what he does on a weekly basis now is fantastic to watch. Like, that is a game that I want to watch, is when Flaherty pitches. Now, it's funny because I've had this conversation the other day with somebody where, do you think the Tigers realized they might have made the mistake of giving, and I like Maeda, I've always liked Maeda, but they gave him a 2-year deal. They gave Flaherty a 1-year deal. Do you think they wish that was flipped and Flaherty had the 2-year deal? But that's just what I go back to is, and I've talked about this every week with JC, by myself. We all know I like pitching. Is this the Chris Fetter effect? because Chris Fetter's showing that he can fix pitching. He did with Michael Renzen last year. He fixed his pitching. But we'll have to wait and see what he does the rest of this year. We'll have to see come trade deadline where he is. Is he here? Is he somewhere else? I don't know. This week, the Red Sox just tied it with a Tyler O'Neill home run. This team, I'm telling you, no quit. And make that Tyler O'Neill's third home run in the last 2 games, and actually make that his 4th home run since June 9th. And it was a solo home run, so that's 8 RBIs, and this guy's hot. And if he stays healthy, that kind of clicks. For Tigers this week, they got 2 more against the Braves tonight and tomorrow, and they got 3 against the White Sox this weekend. So they realistically could go 3-3 this week. I don't want to say at best, because they could go 4-2 at best. The final team I'll talk about from the coldest of the week is a team that I had finishing in last place in their division, and they're just proving it right now for me. That's Tampa Bay Rays. Same thing as the other 2 teams. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They got swept by the Orioles. They took 2 of 3 from the Cubs, and they dropped 2 of 3 to the Braves. Their pitching has been the problem, and that's what I said when I had them finishing in last place. Their starting pitching, 1-6 with a 52.2 innings pitched, and they have almost a 5 ERA. You can't have that from your starting pitchers. Can't have that. You're not going to make the playoffs with that. And the Rays are in the conversation every year. Like, I would have gladly put them in the conversation because they're not a bad team. They're just dealing with injuries, and the pitching that they have isn't the answer. Now, here's the thing. They got 3 games against the Twins to start tonight. That could be huge for the Red Sox. We'll have to see what happens there. That could be huge to get them back into things, too. Then they have 3 against the Pirates this weekend, and they're going to face Paul Skeens. So that's another thing to watch. Paul Skeens on Sunday, which means I think Gerrit Jones on Friday. It's a tough 3-game series for the Rays, who have dropped 3 of their last 10. Now, we'll shift to the news of the week. And not really the news, this is my opinion. I wrote an article about it the other day, and it's one of my pieces that the Seattle Mariners are a lot of fun to watch. But they're not in the conversation of the Orioles and the Yankees right now. And the reason they're not is because they need a bat. So I went and crunched some numbers. And I didn't crunch like the power numbers. It is what it is. I wanted to just look at some things. They have a .221 team average, which is 28th in baseball. They have a .667 OPS, which is 25th in baseball. And they have 288 runs scored, which is 24th in baseball. Now, if you heard all those stats, they're in the conversation of like the A's and the White Sox. You hear those numbers, you think 4th place, which is fair. But I went back and I looked. I shouldn't even have to look. Everybody knows the answer. Go into pitching. They're starting pitching. They have a .330 ERA, which is 4th in baseball. A 1.01 WHIP, which is the best in baseball. They have 401 strikeouts, which is 2nd in baseball. There was no secret that this team had great pitching, which is why they hold a 9-game lead in the American League West. Could you imagine where they'd be sitting right now with another bat or 2? And in the article I wrote the other day, I mentioned Luis Robert. I mentioned Pete Alonso. I mentioned Bo Bichette. But this team has prospects. So at the end of the day, if there's a name that comes out in the next couple of weeks where it's like, hey, this guy's under control for 2 years, he's a bat, we don't need him, we can't use him, or they're just going to move the contract, the Mariners could come calling. And that puts them in the tier of Orioles, Yankees, Mariners. This team should be there. And I'm glad they're leading the division. They're fun to watch. I like October with Seattle in it. It's good baseball. Great pitching, which we all know I like. But they need something in the lineup. They got to figure that out. Julio Rodriguez can't carry the load himself. So go get something. Pete Alonso at first base. Put him 4th in the lineup. That's a fun lineup. Bo Bichette. I know he's having a down year. You put him at shortstop. Or J.P. Crawford 2nd. You can mix and match pieces. It's fun to watch. They put Luis Robert in right field. You got a guy on the 4th spot of your lineup that can mash the baseball. Go do that. There's moves to be made there. They can be better. They can be a fun ride this year. They could make the World Series. We could be sitting here. I talked the last 2 weeks, Yankees, Dodgers, Orioles, Phillies. There's your World Series previews. The Mariners go get a bat. They play somebody on the weekend like the Dodgers, the Yankees. It's a must-watch series. That'll be on my list. You'll get that series preview every time. But they got to get something because the offense is struggling. Moving on to the offense, go to a different team. And it's out west as well. The Los Angeles Dodgers had a tough blow this week. Or last week, I guess. Mookie Betts got hit with a pitch on the hands. He's out 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured hand. I just mentioned a name, and I've heard rumors of it already. Do they go get Bo Bichette? They made a trade last week with the Blue Jays. They got Kevin Biggio. Biggio could play second base. You could move somebody to short, or Biggio could try to play short. But Biggio's having a tough season. I saw some report now. I don't know if it was true or false. I've seen they reached out to Trey Turner. Now, if the Phillies want to trade Trey Turner, that's asinine. The idea of trading your shortstop when you're the best team in the National League is just ridiculous. But that's a move that can be made. And Mookie's in the MVP conversation, so that's an even tougher loss. He played 70 games this year with a 292 average, an 861 OPS, 9 home runs, 48 runs scored, and 33 RBIs. Guy gets on base. He hits behind Ohtani and Freeman, so they're going to drive him in, so his runs are going to go up. But now he's out, and that lineup might struggle without him. I mean, Freeman and Ohtani won't, but they got a lot of issues, and they're not done there. Their top offseason prospect, their pickup was Yoshinobu Yamamoto, besides Ohtani. Ohtani was number one. Yes, I know. But Yamamoto was the one that was prized by a lot of teams. They wanted pitching, and he went to L.A., and there's no timetable for his return yet. They said it wasn't season ending, so that's good. But, this season is numbers, so he's got 14 games started, a 6-2 record, 74 innings pitched, a 2.92 ERA, a 1.07 WHIP, a 10.22 K per 9. Now, that includes his bad start, rough outing in Korea against the Padres. You take that out, he's 6-1 with a 2.34 ERA, a 1.01 WHIP, and his K per 9 goes down to 10.11. That's a tough loss. Now, they are getting Bobby Miller back. He's scheduled to start Wednesday against the Rockies. And then the news the other day, Clayton Kershaw is on a rehab assignment with Rancho Cucamonga. So you're getting 2 solid arms back. And I said it all along, this team's going to have an arm problem if everybody's healthy. I said it before the season. I said that, James Paxton, expect him for the first half, Kershaw for the second half. But if he stays healthy, they're going to have a logjam in the rotation. They're going to have to figure that out. Are they in trouble? No, not at all. They'll be in the playoffs. They'll probably win the NL West. I mean, they got a 9-game lead, and the Giants are the team in second, now trailing them. Padres and the Diamondbacks are 9.5 back, entering to play tonight. There's no way they're going to get caught. They have too much talent. There's just no way. So they're not in trouble. But if, Yamamoto's injury turns out to be something where he comes back, makes a start, and he leaves again because he left Saturday's start, they could be in trouble. I mean, they do have pitching depth. Like, there's no issue there, but they could make a move by mistake and trade a pitcher, and they get somebody that they think they need, and it doesn't work out. So right now, they're not in trouble. They're going to be in the playoffs. But for the long haul, in the playoffs, and the deep October run, they could be in trouble. They could be. Especially if you line up against the Braves, who are hot at some point. Right now, they're obviously dealing with their issues, or they could have something like last year where they run into a Diamondbacks team, and that's it for them. There's always that Cinderella team that comes in, could make some noise, and they're in trouble, especially if they have injuries. So that'd be something to watch. I'm going to go with the pitching again. And big one, Gerrit Cole, the ace of the Yankees pitching staff, will make his return on Wednesday. Cole has made 3 rehab appearances between 2 at AA, Somerset, and 1 at AAA, Scranton Wilkes-Barre with the Rail Riders. In those 3 starts, he's got a 0.73 ERA, a 0.48 WHIP, 19 strikeouts, and 12 1/3 innings. He looks like he's Gerrit Cole. But the Yankees, their starting pitching is unreal. This season, 419 innings pitched, they're 35-15, with a 2.90 ERA, which is 10th best in baseball, a 1.12 WHIP, which is 3rd best in baseball, and they have an 8.55 K per 9, which is 12th best in baseball. And that's all behind Luis Gil. Yes, I'm done with the Gil. We're sticking with Gil. I heard it all weekend when I watched that series. Luis Gil. 14 starts the season. This kid's 9-1 with a 2.03 ERA, which is 3rd in baseball, a 0.98 WHIP, which is 11th in baseball, 96 strikeouts, which is 10th in baseball, and 80 innings pitched. He's the favorite right now for Rookie of the Year. I don't know. Gerrit Cole may be the number 2 come playoff time if this is how things are going. But we'll see. And I mentioned his name a little while ago since I'm watching the Red Sox game. The Red Sox just took the 4-3 lead, looking to win their 7th in their last, 9? 7th in their last 9. And Ceddanne Rafaela, another RBI. This guy's up 41 now. Unreal what this kid's doing. We're going to move to the team that they're actually playing against right now. That's Toronto Blue Jays. And I saw this on Twitter the other day. And I don't know if it's how true it is, but Hazel May, who covers the Blue Jays, retweeted it. So my guess is it's pretty true. Somebody posted a tweet out there that they got an email about their season tickets. And now season tickets, the payment process is typically needed in August or September. Well, this season they're requesting it July 22nd, which is 8 days before the trade deadline. That opens the conversation, the door. Is this team selling? And they're just doing this because they want the fans invested to know they're invested for next season? Like, are we talking Guerrero's gone, Barrios could be gone, Gossman's could be gone, Bichette? They've already traded Biggio, and Biggio wasn't great, but now is the conversation open to moving pieces? We'll have to see. But I thought that was interesting because that spoke to me as if they're going to be selling. And I think, their next couple of series, I don't know who they have after the Red Sox. I believe it's Cleveland again, then the Red Sox again. They struggle in those 2 series. There could be a trade conversations coming in ASAP. So it's a lot to see over the next, probably 7 to 10 days and see where they're at. But that could be why they moved the payment process up. Just an interesting little situation going on there north of the border. And so now we've reached the final 2 segments, and they're the same as every week. This week I'm going to do something a little different. So we're going to hit to the prospects and just some news that I saw in the last 48 hours. Outfielder from the Washington Nationals organization. He was playing at Harrisburg. He's the 5th ranked prospect on the top 100, and that's Dylan Cruz. He's an outfielder. He was drafted last year out of LSU, played with Paul Skeens on the national championship team. He's got a 274 average this year, 789 OPS, 5 home runs, 38 RBIs, 26 runs scored, and 15 stolen bases. He's been promoted to AAA. So he'll be playing with the Rochester Red Wings. Great news for him. It makes me question, though, is James Wood getting the call to Washington? That's why the call-up's happening now, because James Wood needs to be in Washington. And Chance, who covers the Nationals for us, him and I have talked about this every week. Why is James Wood not in AAA yet? The other news today was a little tough one as a Red Sox fan, and I've followed this guy. If you haven't seen it yet, I do my Down on the Farm every week. This guy has climbed up my rankings. He's climbed up a lot of people's rankings. It's Luis Perales. And it was announced today that he will be undergoing Tommy John surgery. So he is done for the year. This is a kid that this season in 9 starts between high A and double A, 2-2 with a 2.94 ERA, a 1.31 WHIP, and 56 strikeouts. He's made 2 starts at double A with Portland, and in those 2 starts, he left the second one. He went 1-0 with a 1.23 ERA, a 0.82 WHIP, 10 strikeouts, and 7 1/3 innings pitched. This kid was just fun to watch. So it's a tough loss for the Red Sox organization. Again, double A, so he can come back next year, probably be at high A or double A, and we'll see him climb again. But it's a tough loss right now because he was fun to watch, especially as far as that double A team, because they got so many prospects that are fun to watch, and some aren't even in the top 10 for that team. Like Christian Campbell is the guy that the article will come out tomorrow, prospect of the week in double A, and he just got called up. This is his second week in Portland, and he's smoking the ball. Again, it's a call-up right there that makes me think, okay, are they going to move Marcelo Meyer to AAA or Kyle Teal? Those 2 guys have to get called up soon to AAA. But we're going to speak of Kyle Teal. He's one of my prospects of the week. He's the 28th ranked prospect on our rankings, playing at AA Portland. He had a hit in every game last week. He went 10 for 20. 500 average in a week is ridiculous. I wish I could do that. Had a double, a home run, 3 RBIs, 7 runs scored, 3 walks, and a stolen base. Get this kid up to Worcester. It has to happen. He's hitting .313 this season with an 897 OPS. 7 home runs, 40 RBIs, 44 runs scored, and 5 stolen bases. This is your future catcher for the Red Sox. Get him up. Let's see what we have. He needs to be called up soon. The other one is the 77th ranked prospect. He was acquired by the New York Mets last season in a trade that included, I believe it was the Max Scherzer trade, and it's Luis Angel Acuna. He's playing at Double A for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. He had a hit in every game last week as well. These guys just hitting the ball. He went 10 for 23. He had two doubles, a home run, 5 RBIs, 5 runs scored, a walk, and a stolen base. This season, not his greatest steal, 260 average with a 682 OPS. He's got 4 home runs, 22 RBIs, 53 runs scored, and 23 stolen bases. This kid might need to look at AAA. But those are your prospects of the week and some little prospect update. I'll add the prospect update going forward for the next couple weeks, just to give a little update from what I see from different sources and see who's getting called up, what top 100 prospects are getting called up, so everybody knows about them. And if you're in the area in the market, and you want to go see that team, get a chance to. The final segment tonight is the series to watch. And this week, I know because I'm recording late on Tuesday, it's a little tough. This series might be over by the time you get to it, but it was Yankees Orioles. Two teams leading the American League, two best teams in the American League right now. Must watch TV. Again, the pitching matchups don't line up exactly the way that people would have been thrilled about. Gerrit Cole's going tomorrow against Cade Povich. Not a deal for a pitching match. Like, I would have loved Corbin Burns versus Gerrit Cole, which might be game one of the ALCS or whatever. The final two for the weekend, Braves Yankees. I'm just excited to see. The Braves are without Strider. They're without Acuna. Max Fried pitched last night, so Max Fried will get Sunday. It's going to be a fun series to watch. And it would have been if the Braves were healthy. Again, they could be. They could very well be the team there, but that would have been one of my World Series previews. The other series is the Orioles and the Astros. And the only reason I say that is the Astros are the Astros. They can hit. So what kind of Orioles team do the Orioles hit? So what kind of series we can get? So that's why that makes the cut for my other series to watch this weekend. I'll be watching Red Sox Reds, obviously, but I want to give you something that's not Red Sox as a series to watch this weekend. So that's about all I have this week. Kept it short. Sorry, I said 30 minutes to start. It was 45. But hey, we got everything covered. And we'll continue with the hottest and coldest for the week. Might be, obviously, I had 5 and 3 this week. Maybe next week it's 4 and 4. We'll keep it rolling. I will be solo again next week. JC is still on vacation. So hope he's having a good time. Hope he's having fun. I hope you enjoyed your baseball coverage. And I hope you get to tune into some good games this weekend. And I hope you have a good week. And we'll see you next week. Enjoy.